Okay, let's get into it. Awesome game tonight between Houston and Texas A&M. I promise we'll get to it, but I do want to start in the ACC because Sunday was another great day for the Atlantic Coast Conference. One day after North Carolina and NC State both punched tickets to the Sweet 16. Duke and Clemson did the same. Final score, Duke 93, James Madison 55, blowout. Final score, Clemson 72, Baylor 64, upset. So after the ACC was limited to just 5 bids in the 2024 NCAA tournament, the ACC now has 4 schools in the Sweet 16. KB, does this validate the ACC fans and coaches who were screaming the league was vastly underrated all season long? Does this validate the point they were making, or is what we're watching just the nature of the NCAA tournament, nothing more, nothing less?
Yeah, I would go with neither. I don't feel like it validates the ACC. It was pretty clear throughout the season that the top of the ACC was head and shoulders above everyone else, and the rest of the ACC was just what it was. It's kind of like the Shaq meme, right? Like, I owe you an apology. I wasn't familiar with your game, Duke. I wasn't familiar with your game, North Carolina. This was really good showing for the ACC. 8-1 now in the NCAA tournament. Of course, if you include Virginia in the first 4. Yeah, I think it's impressive for the ACC. I still wouldn't probably make a case that, Pitt or Wake should have been included in the NCAA tournament. I think their resume suggested probably otherwise. But the top of the ACC we thought was good, and the top of the ACC so far in the NCAA tournament has indeed been good.
Right. Carolina and Duke are exactly where they were supposed to be. Clemson, obviously a surprise. NC State, undeniably a surprise. Virginia got its brains beat out in the first 4. And if we're, using this as a launching pad to debate and discuss the ACC again, we're really only talking about Pitt. No other ACC school had an actual chance to get into the NCAA tournament by the time we reached Selection Sunday. Wake Forest was there with about, a week or 2 to go, but they fell apart at the end. So there's only one school that we're talking about here. It's Pitt.
Yep.
And so it comes down to, should the ACC have been a 5-bid league or a 6-bid league? Any conversation past that is a conversation that loses all context based on where we were on Selection Sunday. And I know ACC fans don't want to hear this, but I promise when you're on the other side of this thing, like when you get a bunch of teams in and then it doesn't go so well, I'm not going to come back someday and then say you shouldn't have got those teams in. I fundamentally, like at my core, do not believe that anything that happens after Selection Sunday has anything to do with what we were talking about on Selection Sunday. So if you want to make an argument as an ACC fan that this proves the league was tougher than it was, than it was believed to be, and that if you graded on that curve, that Pitt belonged just on the right side of the bubble instead of just on the wrong side of the bubble, like whatever, you might be right. But the idea, how about this? If you're not willing to tell me that when a middle of the pack Mountain West team beat the 3rd place ACC team by 20 billion the other night, if you're not willing to tell me that means something in a conversation about the Mountain West and the ACC, then I don't have much interest in having a conversation about what it means when, the 2nd place team in the ACC, handles or when the 1st place team in the Big Ten handles the 1st place team in the Mountain West by 1 billion points. Right. I think the NCAA, I guess I'd bottom line it this way. What is more likely, that a 4-month season that we play before the NCAA tournament is a good indication of like who's good and who's not, or a 40-minute game, played on a Sunday or a Saturday is a good indication of who's good and who's not? In other words, not last week, the week before, the week before, the month before, the month before, was anybody saying Clemson's better than Baylor?
Absolutely not. No.
Nobody ever said that at any point this season. But then they played in the NCAA tournament and Clemson won. Congratulations. But I don't think it changes the entire story connected to that league or any other league.
Right. Yes, agreed. Not everything has to be a referendum on the league. Yeah, the Mountain West got 6 teams into the NCAA tournament. And they struggled in the NCAA tournament so far, save for obviously San Diego State. But that doesn't mean that the Mountain West didn't have a strong conference. That doesn't mean that, Utah State was not worthy of being seated where they were. And so, yeah, I agree with you. Not everything has to be a referendum just based off of what can happen in an NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, because what has happened to the Mountain West in this tournament has happened to the Mountain West in this tournament. I've got a Twitter account and people know what it is. And so they'll just send you notes every once in a while. And I get a lot of them about the Mountain West. And one of them that has come, I've just seen it multiple times. It's like, all I heard all year long was you talking about how the Mountain West deserved 6 bids to the NCAA tournament. Now, what do you have to say? Same thing. The Mountain West did deserve 6 bids to the NCAA tournament. That's why the Mountain West got 6 bids to the NCAA tournament. And whatever happened after the NCAA tournament started is just stuff that happened after the NCAA tournament started. Yeah. So I think you and I are in agreement here. The ACC is performing brilliantly, and it should be applauded. And I assume that if I were an ACC coach or fan, I'd be trying to make these larger points as well, I guess. But I don't accept them. And like every league at some point, if we live long enough, is going to be on both sides of this conversation. Either you got a bunch and you didn't look like you deserved it when the tournament started, or you didn't get that many and it looked like you deserved more once the tournament started. Every league will be on both sides of this, and I'll do my best forever to try to stay consistent with the way I discuss it. And so that's what I'll do with the ACC. If we're looking ahead, though, the ACC matchups in the Sweet 16, it's going to be North Carolina against Alabama, Duke against Houston, Clemson against Arizona, NC State against Marquette. So Carolina will be favored in its game. The other 3 ACC schools will be underdogs, but still, to have 25% of the Sweet 16, no matter what you think about the ACC as a league during the season, it was, by the way, the 4th best league according to the net, 5th best league according to KenPom. No matter what you thought about that league during the season, we can all agree having 25% of the Sweet 16 is awesome. Congratulations to the ACC.